Hey everybody, and welcome back to Split Couch Games. I'm Scott.
And I'm Ben. Did you forget your name for a
I
second there?
somehow almost messed that up. I'm not sure how, to be honest.
All right.
Anyway, this is Couch Cast number 58. Didn't mess that one up.
Nope.
And yeah, we're gonna kind of do. Well, Ben's gonna do a quick recap of the video game awards that happened last Thursday. I there was like half didn't have time, half didn't care to make time to watch them. It was a pretty crazy week at work, but yeah, I'll have a couple thoughts thrown in, but it's gonna mostly be Ben talking about it for a little bit, and then we're gonna talk about Detroit. Unfortunately, it's going to come out a little late and no one's really going to care anymore, but I think it's an important topic to talk about.
Detroit being the game, not the city, in case anybody was confused.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I was thinking about that last night. I was like, we better make sure that we do that, so thank you, Ben. It's Detroit Almost Human, yeah?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. From the makers of Heavy Rain and another good game that I can't think of.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
anyway, Ben,
Anyways, so the video game awards that Scott didn't watch.
Become Human. Detroit Become Human.
Okay. But yeah, so the video game awards that Scott didn't watch. This is going to be a short thing because you can't really have a conversation topic if there's nothing to talk about, and I also don't remember everything.
Just talk about your favorite things.
I mean, out of what I saw, like, I'm definitely excited for Death Stranding. But I feel like there's probably a lot of people that are excited about that aren't normally excited for Kojima games, and I feel like the people that are excited that aren't normally excited are probably going to be disappointed if they play it, most likely, just because there's something about a Kojima game that, like, you kind of have to go into it expecting in order to be able to get around it.
Yeah.
Like, for most people, if if they started up Metal Gear Solid 5, start playing through it, and within like the first hour or two you're dealing with like some ghost thing that's trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what you're expecting. You're expecting some, like, open world desert secret agent kind of stuff, and there's like this supernatural crap going on.
Yeah.
So if you don't know like what a Kojima game is, like if you don't know what that experience is, then you're definitely going to want to, temper your expectations and maybe like wait for reviews or something like that. Like maybe catch the first couple episodes of a Let's Play or something before you go out and buy the game when it does come out. I don't believe there was any sort of release date or anything that was talked about, but
I think Kojima just gets to release it whenever Kojima wants.
yeah, and it'll sell millions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that looks really cool. Like, everything that they've shown so far has been really intriguing. Obviously, it's all been like cinematic kind of stuff. Nothing gameplay-wise, as far as I could tell. But it did look like it was, at least for the most part this time, rendered in a game engine as opposed to being like a pre-rendered cutscene. That could just be like me speculating, but it did have like a very similar feel to Metal Gear Solid 5 in terms of like the quality of the graphics and the lighting and everything like that. So
Okay.
but moving beyond that, the game of the year was obviously Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I have my thoughts on that if you're really interested in, you can kind of take a peek at like the last half of the last podcast.
Yeah.
But it's the TLDR of my thoughts on that are basically just like it's a great game, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's like the best Zelda game in any way. Like
But
I
it was
feel
the
like
best Zelda game of the year.
well, I feel like it missed something out of like the core Zelda experience that just kind of kills it for me.
Sure, but
And
I mean,
that's
does that
why.
make it?
Well,
Does
no,
it make it a
that's
worse
why.
game?
Yes,
Okay,
in my opinion, just because
but, I mean,
like
but is it
I
any
would.
worse than any of the other games that were released? I don't know.
I mean, last podcast I said that Mario Odyssey would get my vote above that, so
I know. Like I know that, but like,
and that was in the running.
I guess like what I'm saying is that like I don't think that Breath of the Wild winning is like some travesty.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't either.
I think it was a great. From what I saw, it was a great game.
It's definitely deserved. I just feel like I don't know. I hate celebrating something so much that I feel so mediocre about. I guess is like the point I'm trying to get at, because I feel like there's so much that could be done to improve the game and return it to a form factor that I more easily enjoy. But
Yeah.
if
Is there
we keep
a
going like, oh, it's amazing, then that's not going to happen.
Is there a like best new IP category at the VGAs or something similar?
Maybe, I think so.
Okay, because I think that would be I feel like I want that to have like more more presence than it does now. Like I want that to be like the number 2
Yeah.
thing, just to celebrate new things, because obviously like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is a great game, but it is unfair to other games because it's a Zelda game in a way. Like, you know, it's like as soon as it drops, it's going to be in front of the masses and everyone's going to freak out. Same with the Mario Odyssey, and like, I don't know, I kind of want to celebrate new IPs a little bit more. If that makes sense.
Is this you being like slightly salty that PUBG didn't win?
No.
Okay.
No. I just I
I do believe that there is an award for that, but I could be wrong. I can't remember whether or not that was talked about. I sort of like half watched the VGAs like while I was at work busy doing stuff, so there were a lot of times where it's like I kind of toned out everything that was going on so that I could focus on work. And, you know, they announced like 3 winners during that time or something.
Yeah.
But no, the other couple things that I want to talk about are the fact that they showed off Metro Exodus. They showed off another trailer for that. I continue to be excited. It looks like it's potentially being built to take place more on the surface than the past games, which seems interesting. We'll have to see how that plays out, but outside of that, the only other thing that I wanted to briefly mention was that the game called GTFO looks pretty interesting. It's made by the creators of Payday, and it's, as far as I can tell, like the premise is like, you know, you're a team of 4, you go down into like a cave or something to like loot some sort of vault so that you can like sell it and buy supplies with it or something like that. But they're like mutant zombie hordes or something down there, and they will come after you and try and kill you and stuff like that. It looks really kind of interesting for, you know, like a 4-player co-op kind of experience, but you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's about it.
Yeah, no, you actually sent me
lot.
that trailer, so I took a quick look. It was good. Looks fun, and I think like the people, I forget the studio name off the top of my head, but they do a good job with co-op gameplay, obviously with Payday. So
yeah,
hopefully like it's a true co-op game that, you know.
Yeah, and I guess the last thing that I wanted to say about the VGAs, because I know that I'm like skipping over a lot of stuff, But like the guy who went on his little like rant about like loot boxes and fuck the Oscars and all that kind of shit,
Yeah.
only to like then immediately start backtracking a little bit because his game is being published by EA.
Yeah.
That was quite comical. But
This
yeah.
just in. A Way Out canceled.
Studio shut down.
Oops.
I don't even think they own that little indie studio.
Or like
but...
EA's like, guess who's getting loot boxes? You are. So a quick look through the categories. I don't know if this is a complete list. It's just like what Google gave me. The closest to a best new IP is best indie debut. So I don't know. Yeah, there's no like best new IP, which
Interesting.
seems like it could be a cool category that would sort of
but
it wouldn't be like a huge incentive, but like it would be an incentive for AAA studios to make new IPs instead of just rehashing old ones.
Yes, but you're also incentivizing just creating a new IP to then rehash. Because
Sure.
it's not really an IP if it's like a single standalone game. You know, like
I guess
you know, when Detroit Become Human comes out, that's not going to be an IP. Like that is the game, that is it. Like there might, I highly doubt it, but there might be like DLC or something, but it's not like they're going to come out with like, you know, Detroit Become Human 2 or anything.
Well, sure,
That's
but
just...
like an IP doesn't have to be a franchise, does it?
I don't know. I always kind of assumed that it did, but
Okay, fine. Like, I mean, something like the best original game or something like that. Like something that like indicates new.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that would be my biggest critique, is that like it just seems like the VGAs, like obviously award shows do like focus on the best games of the year, and like the best games are usually the most popular, but it would like to kind of see it like
I
push
feel
the
like
industry forward instead of just like celebrating the industry.
Well, I
sense?
feel like they had that award previously, but I honestly don't know. And I think you are right that an IP can be a standalone, and it like the distinction is like once there's a sequel, it's then a franchise. So I think you're right about that.
Yeah, because I mean, I think like once you make the game, like you own the intellectual property.
Yeah,
for
the intellectual, the IP. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't do anything with it, then like it just sits there, but you own it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I mean, I watched like the first, like basically like the pre-show, and then like a little bit of the actual show, and I was just kind of like, eh. Like, and then I kind of like went off and did other things. So, yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. But it did look. I think that they're still moving in the right direction. Like I've seen years past where it was just kind of like, not interesting.
This one was way better, and with the exception of the developer from A Way Out going on his rant, it was actually a fairly classy experience. It was much more akin to like the Oscars and everything, whereas I remember like the first couple years of the VGAs was like all about like being like cool and shit. And
although I will say that like one of the trailer right before the VGA started, like during the pre-show, it was a game where like all the characters were just going fuck you, fuck.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? Like, I mean, like I don't really care. Like swear words are swear words to me, but like this is really weird.
That seemed like a really weird game to lead in with. But I don't know. Maybe next year we won't have anything like that. But yeah, you definitely are right. Like that was a very weird thing to lead
like,
it with. So
it was like especially weird because they were like hold up, just wait, and like because I tuned in like 20 minutes before, and I was watching the pre-show, and they were like, you'll want to make sure that you're here for the first like the 5 minutes leading up to it. And I'm like, okay, and that was the 5 minutes leading up to it. And I was like,
see, that's
okay.
how you know that like that studio paid a premium
Yeah.
for that spot.
Yep.
Because I feel like they probably would have been overlooked otherwise. But
Yeah.
since it's the first thing everyone sees, you know.
Oh, also like a World War Z game. Like,
yeah, that was interesting.
because like I saw that and I was like, this looks like World War Z, and then it was, and I was like, okay, it's a lot of zombies on screen, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm like, all right. I mean, we don't know anything else. It's a zombie game coming out 10 years after the zombie thing was a thing. So
Yeah. I was gonna say, it's like, honestly, like I'm for the most part like getting kind of sick and tired of zombies, but
yeah.
you know.
All right. Anyway, moving on. Detroit Become Human is in the news recently because they dropped a trailer, and the trailer showed.
Was it a trailer or was it a?
I think people were calling it a trailer. It was like a gameplay trailer
Okay.
because it was just a video showing off like the two different paths. So basically,
was it shown off at TGS or something?
I don't know.
No. Okay. Never mind then. Continue.
But yeah. So basically, the controversy stems from the scene is you play as an AI like little girl, and she's witnessing the daughter of the guy that owns her being abused, and so you're going through, and the first thing that they showed is you don't do anything to stop it, and the little girl ends up dying because her father kills her, and then they kind of rewind and do it from a different path where the AI defends the girl and ends up shooting the dad. And everyone's freaking out because it's glorifying violence and saying that violence is the answer to violence.
No. What they're freaking out about is the fact that it is showcasing and effectively allowing you to essentially become a part of, through inaction, child abuse.
That's not that. No, the articles that I've read were freaking out because they were saying that violence is the answer.
What articles did you read?
A couple? I don't remember the source, but like people
because
were like upset about that, like saying that like it's teaching like to handle abuse with violence. That's what people
All
that.
right.
Anyway, I guess there's both sides are upset. Like,
Yeah, because I mean, I literally saw nothing being like, even the Kotaku article was talking about how like people were upset because you were effectively taking part in child abuse, and you know, like they're like psychologists and everything like that, saying that, you know, like abusers will quote get off on this, and child abuse isn't a game, and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know what articles you were reading.
I mean, like I read
like,
that too, but like I think I read like I think one of the articles I read was like a recap of both, like where it was like, oh yeah, people are said this about it, like because I remember that quote about the child abusers getting off on it and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so. Anyway, so there a bunch of people have called for basically the entire scene to be taken out, and that child abuse is, like you said, child abuse is not a game, and so they want it like either to be edited or just taken out of the game completely, or no, they want it taken out of the game completely, or the game to just not come out.
Yeah.
And really kind of pisses me off that like.
Yeah, I'm sure it pisses a lot of people off, and this is definitely going to be like a very controversial topic. Probably not for anybody that actually watches our podcast, or listens rather. But just in general, it's definitely a very controversial thing, and that goes beyond even simply like, gamers versus non-gamers, because I'm sure there are people out there that, maybe they were abused as a child and they think that this is wrong. And my personal opinion, and this technically is going to open up an entire other can of worms, is video games are basically the penultimate art form in terms of like active media. So, whether it's, like music or movies, whatever, like, because video games kind of combine all of these things together and they are an interactive thing, it is, video games are art, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there are going to be some games that are more artistic than others, because, like, I would definitely say that, like, Okami is way more artistic than Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But that is,
I mean, but you can say the same thing for movies,
point.
where Transformers is less artistic than
Saving Private Ryan.
I was just going to say Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Like, that's how art is. Like,
yeah,
there's different types of art, but they're all art.
Yeah, it's all still art. But art being that, I feel like we should have the same creative liberties as what the movie industry does. And for the most part, we don't. Video games are more often than not censored or more harshly graded than what movies ever have been. I mean, you can go, and I mean, like, yes, like, we kind of have to take into consideration the age of certain films and everything, because, I mean, like, a lot of people, like, point at Jaws and go, like, there are children getting devoured by sharks and there's blood going everywhere. Like, yes, but that's also an old film. Like, that wouldn't get past these days. Yeah. But, I mean, the point remains, really, that it's art, and this type of game is, it's not trying to glorify anything. As a matter of fact, it's trying to do quite the opposite. It's trying to teach the user that there is consequence to your actions. And even inaction will have consequences. Like, just because you don't do anything, it doesn't mean nothing bad is going to happen. And that's kind of like an important thing to learn and explore, and I would honestly rather explore situations like that in a video game and be able to, like, have that, like, mental awareness of other people's lives and that kind of thing than to go through life without any sort of experience with that. Because, like, God forbid I ever am in a situation like that. Like, I would effectively have, like, the mental practice of, like, well, this could have a bad outcome, you know? And, I mean, that's, like, a very, like, loose kind of, like, blanket way of explaining things, because there's very little that'll translate from, like, a video game experience into real life. I mean, I know that for the longest time, people were all like, oh, video games make kids violent. They can teach them how to shoot guns and everything like that. And that's just plain false. There have been many scientific studies to disprove that video games do not, or it proves that video games do not cause violence. And anybody who thinks that a video game will teach you how to shoot a gun needs to maybe go shoot a gun and then tell me how holding a controller is going to help you with that.
I mean, I agree. Like, I think that it's one of those things where, like, I think that there's still this divide between people who play video games and people who don't play video games.
For sure.
Where a lot of people are still thinking, like, oh, it's just Mario and it's just for fun. But we are, like, the industry as a whole is, evolving into something entirely different.
Yeah.
Like there's still the Mario games and everything.
Yeah.
And I think that like this controversy is really only what's the word? So I'm gonna go with solidifying, but that's not the word that I want. Like solidifying itself as an art form, validating itself as an art form.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you look at books that have been censored in the past, like from school districts all around the country, and like all the controversy with Lolita. Like if you know that book.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't, but continue.
Okay, well, I mean, Lolita is a book written from the perspective of a child molester who falls in love with a 6-year-old girl.
Oh, okay.
Really, really intense book.
Yeah.
And obviously people were really pissed off when that came out.
Oh, for sure.
But now it's a classic because it's well written and it explores the mind of someone like that in a way that no other book could ever do again, right?
Yeah.
And that's my immediate thought of when people got pissed off at Detroit Become Human was Lolita, because it's a very similar, like, intense idea. And the fact that we get to explore that in a safe environment is so cool and so important, I think.
Yes. I don't disagree with your overall sentiment. I feel like the phrase exploring that is a little misrepresentational of the situation in the game, because like that makes it sound like you are the abuser, and
but I mean
that is not the case. But I get what you're saying. And I feel like you actually very appropriately like hit the nail on the head, if you will, earlier on when you said that a lot of people think, that video games are still, just like Mario and Zelda, and it's all for fun. And that is kind of like an important distinction to make, that although, like video games are fun, like they are a means of entertainment, that doesn't mean that it can't be expressive and educational or anything like that. I mean, there are plenty of movies out there that are like beautiful, wonderfully put together movies that are like all about Auschwitz and the Holocaust and that kind of thing. And it's like, I would never say that, like I sat down and watched a movie about that and had fun. It may have been a great movie, but it's like Saving Private Ryan is one of our favorite movies. Like, it's my favorite movie, but I'm not like, Friday night, guys, let's go watch Saving Private Ryan. This is gonna be a blast.
We're gonna have so much fun. Just get the drinks, get some popcorn.
It's like, but we watched that, or we watched that last Friday.
Because it's so good.
Something else? Can't we watch something else? Fine, we'll watch Schindler's List. like
really keep the party going.
But I mean, like, I feel like that's a major disconnect point, and it honestly doesn't help the argument, I guess, that anybody involved in like calling this game a bad thing has always been well outside of our age group. Like any of the like psychologists and everything that like I've seen like videos or pictures of them going like, this is like a very bad, terrible thing or whatever. Like, they're always like well past the you are a gamer gap, and not to say, or not to sound like that means that their opinions aren't valid, because I feel like everyone's opinions are valid in this, but I feel like it makes you less credible when you don't understand what you're talking about.
I mean, I don't think this is anything new though. Like I was saying with like the books, but like, every music generation, all the old, like anyone who didn't grow up with it is like, oh, this is the devil's music and this is terrible, and like I just think that like, video games are misunderstood by the older generation, and like it's whatever new form of media comes out next is going to be misunderstood by our generation. Like it's.
Nah, man, I'm gonna be hip and cool.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna be like, whatever, you kids with your 7D pornography parks in what country was that? I can't remember.
I'm sorry,
it's
what?
Brazil. Yeah, sorry. No, there's a theme park in Brazil that is going to be it's like an adult theme park where no children are allowed, but
Good.
like you can be completely naked, just kind of walking around doing your thing, going on rides, all that kind of stuff. And there is a 7D theater. And I don't
What are the
know. Well, it's you can feel, hear, see, smell, and sometimes taste the movie. Yeah, I don't. And they didn't like explicitly say it was for adult films, so. But yeah, that's a thing.
Well, but where are the other? I'm gonna walk into this joke for you, but like, what are the other two Ds?
I don't know.
It's probably just like two
I'm not
dicks.
sure we want to know.
Oh my god,
Oh.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, why not?
Yep. And I mean, like I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
Going back on topic.
What? No, we gotta continue down this road.
Well,
no,
I mean,
back on topic.
we're pretty much at the end of the podcast, anyways.
We're fine. I'm
so.
editing it, so we have like an extra 10, 15 minutes.
Anyways, so you know, back to Detroit. I mean, like I said, there's definitely a disconnect, which is unfortunate, and kind of like what you were saying, it was sort of bound to happen. But I feel like the difference between now and then is that video games already have like a negative perception for a larger portion of the population. So video games are more at risk for actually getting censored than what I would think like a book is. Because I mean, you know, a book like, and I could be wrong, you would obviously know way more about this than what I do, but I don't know that there's ever really been a book that has been like federally banned in the United States. There have obviously been like local government bans and that kind of thing, and you know, like it's banned from the school library and that kind of thing.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that like Nazi Germany banned books and burnt books.
Well,
so,
yeah,
but like I mean,
I'm talking about the United States.
Yeah, I'm just saying that like it has happened. I'm not sure about here. I'm looking that up right now.
Okay. And I feel like part of that is because like there's always been at least a little bit of a sentiment that, you know, like books are there to be, you know, like educational and all that kind of stuff. And video games have had such a negative perception around them for so many years that that's going to play into it. You know, whether it's, you know, like this mom remembers a few years ago that this game called Grand Theft Auto was really bad. Maybe all video games are bad because this one isn't Grand Theft Auto. But I mean, just in general, I feel like video games get way more negative attention than what books and everything ever really did. Again, I'm not like by any means an expert on that kind of topic, so I could be very wrong. But just based off of, you know, like my memory and everything like that, like part of it is simply because of like how connected the world is today. You know, something that would have only been like a local news story 15, 20 years ago is now something that could very easily reach every end of the globe.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It,
Um. So. Um. Yeah. So actually, there were some books that were completely banned by the United States. Ulysses was completely banned. The Catcher in the Rye was completely banned. Maybe, I don't know. Like, it's kind of weird because like when you Google like banned books in the United States, it's like any book that was ever banned by like some,
like a state government or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like Ulysses was completely banned. But the U.S. was the first to allow it freely, like 13 years later.
Gotcha.
And yeah, something like that. So yeah, there's like
I don't
it's
know.
been a thing. I think it just comes with like basically like the industry is maturing, and as the industry matures, like it pisses people off. I mean, music is the same way. Like, you know, Eminem new album coming out in 1 week from this recording. December 15th for anyone who's interested. You know, he obviously he gets a lot of flack for his content. And you know, like I think it's just like as music genres or like any media expands and evolves, pisses people off, and people get all up in arms and are like, "Arr!" And I don't think that like anyone's going to cancel Become Human or even Censored. I mean, like, isn't there like, I'm not 100% sure on this, but doesn't Heavy Rain have like a rape scene in it?
I don't know. I never played it.
But I remember there
always
being
heard
like a
great
lot of
things about
controversy
it.
over that game too. Quantic
I
Dream,
mean,
the developer, always seems to hit with the controversy. So
yeah. I mean, the only game that I really remember having like a rape scene controversy was it the first Tomb Raider game or the second one? I think it was the first one. Yeah.
oh
Of the reboot.
yeah.
And I can't remember what was actually shown off, so I don't recall if it was different from the actual like shipped game. But that wasn't really that big a deal, if you ask me. Like nothing happened. There's obviously clearly like the insinuation that something was going to happen, but then like you do something to stop it. So I don't know.
I did like a quick Heavy Rain controversy. Child abduction.
Oh,
Microsoft apparently Microsoft turned down publishing it because of that.
interesting.
Dumbasses.
Right? That was a bad mistake.
God, I would love to have played Heavy Rain on my 360. Would have been fucking awesome. Thanks,
Yeah.
Microsoft. Anyway, but yeah, as I think that's about all we have. I was gonna try and like think of like a devil's advocate argument, but I mean, I don't know. Like, yes, like there's like a added intensity when you're in control of the characters. So like,
the only sort of like devil's advocate argument that I could even think of would simply be that, you know, like the psychologists say that, you know, like people who are abusers will enjoy that scene.
yeah,
But you can't censor something because of that.
yeah,
Because I mean, if we were to go that route, then it's like, okay, well, you know, you can no longer show any scenes in bars. You can't show people smoking cigarettes. Like, you can't do anything that's even remotely potentially addictive, because then people who enjoy it may be like, yeah, you do, or something like that. And I mean, that's obviously like a huge stretch.
Yeah. No, I'm yeah.
But I don't know. Censoring stuff, period, is just bad.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think it's definitely something that like similar to Modern Warfare 2. Like they at least like warn, like they gave you the option to skip, but there should at least be a warning that like you're gonna see like some intense scenes or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good thing overall. Like even the controversy, like as long as if they don't cave, which I don't imagine that they would. Because I think this is just a vocal minority speaking out.
Yeah.
Like a very like.
Well, I mean, I know that the video game community supports it, but I mean, realistically, the video game community can want what it wants. That doesn't really matter, because if enough people make enough noise that the ESRB steps in and goes, "Nah," then that's all it takes. But
yeah. Anyway, so I'm hoping, obviously, that nothing bad happens to the game. Like, it looks like it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm all for video games exploring. Again, there's that word, but like dealing with
more mature themes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think we all are, and I feel like that's something that a lot of people forget about when it comes to criticizing things like this. Is like, the rating on the box is there for a reason. Like, it's rated M for mature because your 12-year-old is not supposed to be playing this. But most people ignore that. So
yeah.
I mean, there have been plenty of times where I've been in a GameStop or something, and I observe parents freaking out at the employees because they refuse to sell their 8-year-old fucking GTA or Call of Duty or something like that.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
all right.
I feel like that's enough about that.
Yep. Well, let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if we missed a counter argument, feel free to let us know. We're obviously pretty biased, but let us know if you disagree. Let us know if you agree, and we'll see you guys next time on Split Couch Games.
Bye.